Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear, when Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, he was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse, including an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations. Ranked third most prominent football brand by UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide and now even includes Croatian giants Hajduk Split, HNL Prva Liga outfit MK Šibenik, as well as Melbourne-based Croatian community club MK Bunker, amongst its ever-growing international family, and there are more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us now on 1800 Macron. Good evening and a very warm welcome to you wherever you may be tuning in to the episode 3 of the Oz Cro Soccer Show. My name is Tonči Prusac and joining me each week as he does, Josip Žilić all the way from the Gold Coast. How are you, Josip? Nice and warm up there?
It's very balmy here, Tonč. We've had an extremely balmy day here. The last couple of days have been in the 30s and I reckon humidity at 92.3%, somewhere around there anyway. We had a bit of a storm pass through and it's well and truly gone now, but the humidity factor remains. And watching the players out on the pitch, I reckon they're sweating just standing still. But yes, I come to you from the Croatian Sports Centre inside the Fortress here at Gold Coast Knights, and it's a pleasure to be with all our viewers and with yourself, Tonči. We look forward to another delightful show where we get to speak to some of the amazing people from our community and abroad and catch up with some of the greatest news that are going around.
Indeed, this week's episode is proudly sponsored by the Gold Coast Knights, the only Croatian-backed NPL club that was able to make it to the last round of 32 in the FFA Cup. And we'll be speaking to ADRIAN PULJICH, the colourful president of the Gold Coast Knights. And also, now I believe Australia Day was a few days ago, not that long ago, about a week ago. And that's on Australia Day, you get naturalised Australians. But I think today, after his introduction or his little promo before the show, looks like Scott McDONALD might be becoming a naturalised Croatian. Scott McDONALD, the ex-Socceroo legend and current coach, he'll be joining us.
There were some comments flying around during the week about which dialect he had, whether he was a Lichan or whether he was from Primorje or somewhere else. So it was interesting to read some of the comments. But yes, I can tell you he's not from the region, but he's done a great job in making himself very welcome in the surrounds of the Croatian Sports Centre.
We may have to rename him Scott McDonaldovich or something along those lines. But another high-profile individual at the Gold Coast Knights, a player, and not to say that Macca isn't a player, because he does pull on the boots from time to time. But Mitch Nichols, he'll be also joining us, a member of the senior team at the Gold Coast Knights. And look, it's a very good side. The Gold Coast Knights have got, I think it's something like no less than four ex-A League players.
Yeah, 4. There is 4 that I've counted, and I think one just come over from the New South Wales Premier League too. So look, there's A League players, Northern New South Wales Premier League players. There's a good bunch of talent there. Mitchy had an outstanding performance last week, and on Saturday, that humidity factor is when it all kind of started, and he really stood tall and pulled the strings in the middle of the ground to set up at least one of the goals. So, and then took the ball through to force the penalty as well.
Yeah, it should be fantastic. So, like we said, tonight's episode is sponsored by the Gold Coast Knights Football Club. So it's going to have a very strong Gold Coast flavour tonight. But we'll also be from, I guess you could say, one Croatian club almost to another Croatian club, although they're not. But there's a very strong Croatian flavour at this club, Melbourne Victory. The Croatian contingent is ever growing. We'll be speaking to one of their stars, their first team goalkeeper, ex-Dinamo Zagreb and Lokomotiva Zagreb player, who's also tasted European Champions League football. IVAN KELAVA, looking forward to that. He'll be joining us straight after the news desk, won't he, Josip?
Yes, he will be straight on, and we look forward to that conversation. One thing about Ivan is that he hasn't wasted any time becoming a fan favourite. If you ever get a chance to watch some of the A-League, as I try and do, and I try and be as open-minded and broad-minded about the football scene in this country, despite the fact that it's not in its greatest shape in terms of developing future Socceroos. But that's another topic altogether. But what Ivan hasn't wasted any time doing is getting to know the fans and getting them to really buy into his characteristics. He grabs that bullhorn after a game and he just lets it rip.
Well, I do believe a lot of Melbourne Victory supporters that aren't of Croatian extraction will be tuning in tonight. I know of a couple that are definitely tuning in. And one of those is also in the comments section straight away, Santino Mamone, a Geelong boy who, for an Italian, probably knows more Croatian than a lot of Croatians. So, Santino, big shout out to you, and also for promoting tonight's show as well. So, if you are a Melbourne Victory fan, do drop us a line in the comments section. And indeed, if you are a Gold Coast Knights fan or indeed a football fan tuning in, let us know where you're watching in. We're going to make an announcement about next week, but we've already had Josipe Melbourne represented in the first episode with Gorspic Bears, Canberra represented with the O'Connor Knights last week. This week, Queensland representative is the Gold Coast Knights. Next week, we'll be going to New South Wales. We won't say much, but allow you to do that in the news desk. And speaking, you're going to step away now, aren't you, for a little bit as you get yourself ready for the news desk. That's coming up shortly. So, yeah, folks, don't go away. We'll be back. Josip will be back very, very shortly with the news desk. You are tuning in to the Oz Cro Soccer Show.
Welcome, viewers and listeners, to the Australian wrap-up. The first thing I wanted to sort of bring up this week was we saw the Socceroos in their World Cup playoffs, unfortunately last night, having a 2-2 draw, which puts them into a dire straits. But a positive outcome that they had against Vietnam in a 4-0 win. And an old mate of mine, Damien Wojtek, posted up a fantastic tribute to his father, Billy Wojtek, a legend of the Melbourne Knights scene. And as you can see, the image there on the screen of Billy in Saigon in 1967. And I really appreciate where Voj was coming from in sharing that out for the Croatian community. You can imagine a migrant himself being sent over to Vietnam for his new naturalised country to go and represent them in a time where he probably didn't really get to understand his new surroundings, let alone where he was being sent to. And it would have been a really challenging time for him to face that scene and that stifling heat and humidity, as we know that Vietnam is renowned for. But nonetheless, thanks, Voj, for sending that in. It was brilliant to see, and it definitely pulls on the heartstrings when you think about people like Billy and the involvement they've had in Melbourne Croatia Melbourne Ice Football Club.
Absolute legend, Billy Wojtek. Maybe one day we might get him on the show. He'd be a very, very colourful character, that's for sure. What else, Josip?
Yeah, over to Queensland, where we'll speak about Queensland a little bit later on. How about that? When we get the president of the Gold Coast on, then we'll share some news about what's been happening and what's coming their way as well. But we'll steer the bus towards New South Wales. We heard the Newcastle Croatia, the new boys back in town, and they've got their first FFA Cup match, and excitedly anticipating Warners Bay coming their way. Now, Warners Bay is a pretty strong outfit in the Newcastle Premier League, so it's a massive challenge for the lads first up, and we wish them all the best. We haven't got the date and time given to us just yet. When that gets confirmed by their leagues, we'll be sure to share it with everybody as well.
Yep.
Whilst we're in New South Wales, we can't go past the big news in the A-League about Western Sydney Wanderers picking up former a Western Sydney boy himself, Mark Rudden, who's there till the end of the season. Western Sydney parted ways with Carl Robinson with speculation of cultural and underlying issues occurring there, something to do with behaviour and the way people are buying into the club. So it looks like Mark's got a big job on his hands, and I'm sure he's going to step up to the plate, just like he did when given the reins at Western United. And speaking of which, at Western United, he recruited young Nick Milanovic, who had his debut goal for Western United on the weekend. Last night, I beg your pardon. And it was Rudden who brought him to the club. And it was Nick's also his first ever start. So he's come off the bench a few times, but in his first ever start, scores his debut goal. That's the way to get things started. Good on you, Nicholas, and wish you all the best for many years to come.
Well done, Nicky.
Good stuff, mate. And we'll continue on in Sydney. And we have Hurstville Zagreb taking on St. George in a pre-season friendly down at Penshurst Park, an all-club gala affair. And these things are fantastic when you can pull this off, because it really builds terrific camaraderie and a club spirit around the place, and it keeps people engaged all day long. And us Croats, we certainly know how to turn on the festivities for an all-day affair. So. And I've actually got some family connection at St. George City. I've got a young, McCorm's young son, Luka Buric. Good luck when you go up against the Zagreb boys. But you know where my heart lies, Luka. Unfortunately, it has to go with Zagreb. And speaking of Zagreb, Tonch, next week's club in focus is Hurstville Zagreb. So we look forward to catching up with Johnny Gardro and the team from Hurstville Zagreb. And they've got some fantastic initiatives coming up with regards to their changes in terms of funding for football fields, which we've posted this week, and we'll share out again when the boys come on the scene next week.
And yet to be confirmed, but we're certainly hoping to get some high-profile guests from Zagreb, Hurstville. None more high-profile than Johnny Gagro. I mean, the guy is part of the furniture there. He's been there for decades. Some are actually saying there should be a dinosaur named after him. But Johnny's been there forever and a day. But we've also got a few other folks very, very closely connected with Zagreb, Hurstville, that are going to come on board as well. So big shout out to Tony Chavard for organising it. He's their social media man and also the club treasurer, and an all-round nice bloke, Tony Chavard. So if you're listening in, Tony, big shout out to you. Thank you for organising it. But moving along, Sydney United.
Sydney United, they had a 1-1 draw against Northbridge Bulls on the weekend in their club gala day. And again, look, when you can do these things, and I'd encourage every club, if they can, pull off their pre-season gala days like this, because we know during the season it's hard for the federation themselves to coordinate everything in that fashion. But when you have the ability to coordinate it yourself, go ahead and do it, because it's the best thing for your club. And speaking of Sydney United, their women's team has joined the MacArthur Football Association in the M League. What does that mean? It gives them a broader scope and a greater development opportunity for their women's players, and we look forward to what comes out of there, because we know that Sydney United is fantastic at development in terms of their players and sending them off to greater challenges. and I look forward to seeing that happening with their women's group as well.
Fantastic stuff happening at Sydney United. Now, moving along, my friend, we've got a lot to
down
go
the
through,
Princess. Yeah, we certainly do, and we'll keep it charging, mate. Because we're steering down the Princess Highway, and we're heading off to South Coast United. Big season launch happening on Feb 19th. So the fans in the Illawarra and Wollongong regions, get out there and support the club, jump on board, and have a festive time. It's a great kickoff for your season. And we'll continue along the way. We'll steer into the Hume Highway now, and we'll head over to O'Connor Knights. It was last week's Club in Focus, and thank you very much for your time, for everyone, Nico and Alex and others who joined us for the show. They're having a big year, and their big signings keep coming. Alex did promise that the changes will keep coming, and they're geared up for a massive round one derby against Canberra, Croatia. And when we speak of Canberra, Croatia, they themselves have a friendly this week against Coniston at Deakin Stadium. Proceedings begin at 1 o'clock with the under-18s. So get out there early and encourage the young men as they develop themselves in their ambitions to become senior football stars one day as well.
Now, let's go down south. Let's go down to my state, Victoria. A lot happening, obviously, and always is down there. But I think the Melbourne Knights have got their juniors kicking off this weekend. And in fact, the junior NPL kicking off this weekend.
Yes, they've got the, first and foremost, let's talk about their community juniors kicking off training this week. If you haven't been across it, make sure you get in touch with your coaches and get along to your training sessions this week. Their senior men continue to wrap up their signings, but probably the biggest news this week is the NPL boys head off to North Geelong for a sister club derby in round one for the NPL juniors. We wish everyone all the best, enjoy it, and we know that the hospitality will be great for you guys as you come up to Geelong. Speaking of North Geelong, their practice matches that they just had against Moreland City, the under-21s had a big thumping win at 6-0. And the seniors had a 2-2 draw, sharing the result with Moreland City with goals to Jurkovic and Hidic. So well done, lads, and getting the score on the board. And this week on Friday night, Essendon Royals at home. Essendon Royals, as a club prominent in sort of that State 1, trying to push their way through NPL 3. And they're led by Vitali Ferranti. And we know that Vitali is a very, very strong coach and has his style of play. So there'll be a fantastic challenge for the guys.
Should be good. Friday night football down at Alco Park.
Friday night under lights. Remember them, Tonchi? Oh, great, weren't they?
Yeah. Oh, they are. They are nothing but. Look, I don't know about you folks. Put it in the comment section because we'd love to hear from right around Australia what you think. But what's your favourite night of the? I guess the weekend, if you like, for football. We know down in Melbourne, Knights, Dandenong City play their home games on a Friday night, and it's become so popular, hasn't it, in NPL? The Friday night under lights, and then you've got the rest of the weekend off to watch other games, I suppose.
Exactly. Well, you got your juniors to worry about too, right? So
absolutely, that too, yeah.
Just a little further on North Geelong, we got confirmation during the week that Luka Skorko and Niki Vladovic are over at Hajduk Split's youth team. We know that Luka's commenced training and he headed off to Slovenia with the team this week. Nicky will be joining the squad on Tuesday. So we do wish them all the very best. And I'll reach out to him, or yourself, Tonchi, will reach out to him as they get settled in their new environment, and we'll get them on for a discussion so they can share their experiences and so people can understand what it's like to take that big risk and see what the world is like, and the world of football is like elsewhere.
Yeah,
there's other Aussie lads that have been snapped up too. Now, I haven't got 100% confirmation, but I understand that Mark Bullich, former St Albans Knights and Victory player, has been picked up by NK Rudesh. So we'll wait confirmation on that before we start getting overly excited about it. But I believe that NK Rudesh has picked him up. So all the best, Mark.
I believe there is a very strong Australian Croatian contingent at NK Rudesh on the periphery of Zagreb. A club that's doing a lot of good stuff, and we heard from last week's guest Josip Šimunić that a lot of his friends are involved back from the Vatreni days, are involved at Rudesh, and they've got a very good program. So look, if you're on Facebook, obviously you must be if you're watching us, do follow NK Rudesh. There's a lot of good things happening from that club. I also like the name Rudesh. Rudesh just rolls off the tongue. Yep.
Every time I hear it, it reminds me of Mile Rudic. Hello, Mile, if you're watching.
And now,
speaking of St Albans, there's a women's team is in search of a couple of players, if you're into football or you've been thinking about playing football and you want to be competitive in a fantastic environment, State League One, the St Albans Dinamo Women, you can't go past it. Get your kit on and get out there and join the crew. We'll head over to the northern suburbs. Northern suburbs.
Before we do that, Before we do that, Josipa, in the green room, he's eagerly awaiting IVAN KELAVA. Very excited to be coming on to talking about his days at Lokomotiva and Dinamo Zagreb, and now, as you said, fan favourite down at Melbourne Victory. What do I call them? The Melbourne Victory fans. I'm not sure what they're called. Whatever they're called. I'm sure they're
North End, South End, sort of.
South End, is that it? Is that the one? Or we're not mixing them up with the Melbourne City supporters now, are we? That's like That's like mixing up Dinamo Zagreb and Hajduk Split supporters. You don't do that. You don't do that.
We'll get confirmation sent to us. Out of Northern Suburbs and Strathmore Split. Looking for a few more juniors in the various age groups. If you're in the north of Melbourne and you're looking for a terrific community club, you can't go past Split. Good club and great people. And we'll head over to the southeast, Dandy City, over to Oakley this Friday night for a practice match before their season starts to get underway. Massive signings this week, Tunch. John McShane and Sean Timmins. Now, this is going to be a real difference for Dandy City. I think the experience of John particularly will shine for them and be a massive asset.
Yeah, with a name like McShane, he might have to change his name to something as well, with an itch on the end as well. That's the trend at the moment. It's trending all over, everywhere. You know, on Instagram, on Facebook, on whatever. All of these players, and he's going to become a fan favourite. I tell you what, I reckon, because in the past we've both followed NPL down in Victoria, and he's a very good quality player.
He's a spirited guy, spirited performer. Gives everything. Yeah.
Yeah, now we're going to jump across over the Nullarbor to, unfortunately...
Only if Mark McGowan lets us, though.
Yes, I was going to say it's the most isolated capital city in the world, they reckon. A big shout-out to all of our WA listeners, viewers. We've got some exciting news about Western Australia coming up in the next few weeks to announce, but that's all we'll say now. There's too many announcements being made. But, Josip, what is happening fantastic. Over in WA?
I love having the news coming thick and fast this way, Tony. The Western Knights, they start their night series against Morley on Saturday the 5th of Feb to get out there and support the guys as they kick off their venture into season 2022. And also remember, they've got their Bill and Orch coming up in a couple of weeks. It's a Hajduk Split Tribute night. So there you go, 26th of Feb. It's a buffet dinner, 6:30 p.m. Entertainment for all. And it's Western Knights do a fantastic job of it. So I'm sure their fans will be coming in droves to enjoy themselves and pay some tribute to Hajduk Split. And
get yourself some tickets from Dean's Landage there. The number is there on your screen, or Ned Chechich. I do believe Hajduk Split overnight have hit 33,000 members, and I'm sure on the beer
sure some of these guys are.
I'm sure some of them are, and if they're not, I'm sure this will be an opportunity for them to become members. And who knows? Maybe by the 26th of February, the borders might be open. We can go over there as well. Although I'm not going to be holding my breath. Yeah,
I'd love to go see Pecco again. I haven't seen him for a couple of years now. I missed the guy, cousin Miro as well. So I could go on forever, mate. But let's wrap things up in the West with Guelph, Croatia. Our last bit of local news. They continued their night series in their second game. Unfortunately, went down in their first one, but they play powerhouse Florida Athena, who's a traditional strong performer in NPL WA. So all the best to Guelph, Croatia, and we hope you come away with the 3 points.
Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with the Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear. When Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, he was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse, including an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide, and now even includes Croatian giants Hajduk Split, HNL Prva Liga outfit MK Šibenik, as well as Melbourne-based Croatian community club MK Bunker, amongst its ever-growing international family, and there are more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us now on 1800 Macron. Oh, goodness me, we had gremlins popping in there.
Hey, look, it's one thing to be excited, but see how excited this guy is?
Oh, he's jumped the queue. He's already got in there without us even giving him an opportunity to. So let's bring the man on, and this is why he is a fan favorite. Welcome, dobro večer, dobrodošli, and good evening. How are you, Ivan Kelava?
Dobro večer. How are you? I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, mate, your English, I've been told, is you're like a native, so we will speak English, but, ubacit ćemo koju hrvatsku riječ, no doubt, and if we do, we'll try and translate that for the benefit of the millions, not thousands, the millions of Melbourne Victory supporters tuning in. Firstly, good evening, and thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good evening. Once again, thank you for having me. Pretty excited to be with you guys, and can't wait to chat with you a bit.
Now, mate, firstly, let's talk about your career and how you started. And now you were born in Zagreb, is that right? So you started off at the Dinamo Zagreb Youth School, or was it before Dinamo Zagreb Youth School you started playing elsewhere?
Yeah, I was like the youngest kid in my street. So obviously I wanted to play with the older boys, my brothers and everything. So they put me on a goal. And then I started to play for my school, and like on my first tournament, some scouts from Dinamo Zagreb, they saw me, they invited me for trials, and that's how my journey began.
Which kvart of Zagreb was that?
I'm from Gračani. Gračani, that's like a little bit below Sljeme, so it's pretty green, nice area, and also, your last three guests live pretty close to my family house, so yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, so I had like maybe 10-15 minutes drive to Stadion Maksimir, and yeah, it was pretty easy for me.
Nice and close.
I heard you mention you playing with your brothers, and you ended up in goals.
Yeah,
that was me. I had to do the same thing. I've got four.
Had no choice, huh?
One of five boys. I've got four brothers, and I'm the youngest. And there was no option. They threw me in the goals because they can just kick balls at me and make me chase balls.
Yeah, yeah. Like but at the end, it was good for me. I really fell in love with the position, and it's a pretty specific position. Like football is a team sport, and still we are the only individuals in the team. And how they say, if the old goalkeepers are normal, they wouldn't drew the line where they can operate like 18-yard box. So, you need to have a bit of craziness inside of you to be a goalkeeper.
Yeah, we've heard that often from a lot of goalkeepers. There has to be a little bit of craziness there. But let's talk about how you broke into the senior, I guess, team. Firstly, at Dinamo Zagreb, and then you were loaned out straight away to Lokomotiva Zagreb. Now, Lokomotiva, interestingly, has got an Australian-Croatian connection. I think the football director there is still Denis Gudas.
Dennis. Yes,
from Geelong,
yes.
Yep. And it's interesting. Now, what was that like? Because we've heard a lot about Lokomotiva. That's to Dinamova filijala and what you're not. But it's also a real good. I guess we see with the current captain Lukas Kačavenda, who's won, and he's knocked back a €7 million offer from, I think it was Genoa. It's a real good incubator, isn't it, of good young talent. And what's the trick there? Is it because they give the young players a go? Why is Lokomotiva so successful at producing good young players?
Yeah, so basically I started to train with the first team of Dinamo with 16 and a half, 17 years old. And then soon I made a debut in a cup game. And after that, I was like second goalkeeper, supporting always the older goalkeepers. And then it was time.
Who are the main goalkeepers then? Sorry.
It was first of all was Ivan Turina, Marko Šarlija, and after Filip Lončarić was also there. So after came Georg Koch and Tomislav Butina. So after I had it was time for me to get some like proper senior football minutes. And so we agreed, for me, it's the best move to go on loan for to Lokomotiva. And they didn't start that season pretty good, because I came like after I was started 4th round. Yeah, after 3 rounds I came there. So I did my 1 week with them and I started playing. And we had a mix of really like highly experienced players and a good mixture of young players who had that hunger inside of them, who wanted to succeed, to prove that their place is in Dinamo. And they trusted us. We finished. It was still, I think, league of 16 teams. So first season, my first and only season there, we finished 8. And it was really good experience, because I got that senior minutes football, which is the most important for development of the young players. And and after that, Vahid Halilhodžić came as a coach of Dinamo Zagreb, and he called me back, and that's how I started again with Dinamo.
Now, you made it to the European Champions League. Tell us the experiences that you had there, because I think it was it in the Champions League playoff? I'm reading here, was it against Malmo where you saved a crucial save? Yeah,
it was like this was the first time after 12 years that Dinamo qualified for we qualified my team for the Champions League, and it was unbelievable, like to be a part of the biggest club competition in the world. Respect to everybody but the Champions League, for me it's the biggest. It was amazing. Yeah, we had a bit of stressful game against Malmo. It was two legs games. First one we won pretty easily, but there some things went well for us. But at the end we fought hard, and at the end the saves aren't product of myself. It's like the whole team achieved the result. And we qualified for 2 straight Champions League seasons. Yeah, and then I moved over to Italy.
Ivan, when you had that experience and you have a bit of a reflection about what that was like, did your mind ever drift back to those early days as a kid with your brothers in the yard, kicking the ball and going, "Otkud sam došao, gdje sam stigao"?
Yeah, it's always like nice reflection, because you know how much your parents, your family, they give everything for you. Like they sacrifice a lot just for their kid to be happy. And then at one moment you succeed, like you become part of this crazy professional football world, and it's amazing. And I always look, my mom, she has all those photo books of all the articles since I was 8 until probably now, even though today it's a bit more internet, she is not so good with that.
Yeah. And it really emphasizes how when someone in the family, and it might be just sometimes just one person, it might be multiple people in the family, but really emphasizes that the entire journey is not just about you, the athlete, it's everyone around you, and everyone comes along that journey. Hence why your mum's picking up photos and everyone's coming along the ride with you.
Yeah, and after I got married when I was 22 years old, and also my wife, she's crucial part. She's watching now in Croatia live.
Yeah.
So you know that.
Yeah, exactly. Javi says, say hello to her.
Pusa ljubavi. That's why I couldn't be with you last week. I was driving them to the airport. Yeah,
that's okay. It's better you're with your wife than you're with Josip and myself. I mean, we are handsome roosters, but not that, handsome enough. Yeah.
Mate, you are not bad company. Trust me. When you are alone, you are not a bad company.
Thank you.
Now, Ivan, actually, look, you mentioned a really good thing. So you got to Dinamo Zagreb when you're 16. You got married at 22. Geez, you've lived your life by the age of 22. How, in Zagreb, you're a superstar, but you're only a young bloke. How easy is it to get carried away with all the fame and the fortune and the glory? And who was the ones that most kept you down to earth? Because Josip, talking to this man, he's very down to earth, isn't he? Was it your friends from the old?
Why the fans love him.
That's right. Was it the friends from the old Kvart? Was it your new young wife? Was it the family? Who managed to keep you kind of grounded a little bit? And how important was it?
100% my wife. She's like,
She's
my guide. She's my guide to everything. Really, I think I wouldn't achieve a lot of things without her support. And like we have now 3 beautiful daughters. And when they were here, when I was able to bring them on the pitch, it was unbelievable. And then also when you have that reflection, I couldn't even imagine that, and that I would share that moment after a victory, to have my kids on a pitch with me in front of the best supporters in Australia, which is our fans, and they were chanting my name. Kids were amazed, and like that's all credit. Long answer short, my wife.
Yeah, fantastic. Hey, now I think we can dive straight into the fan situation here, Ivan. We have noticed almost immediately the fans have embraced you as if you've been here since you were born, and you've wasted no time grabbing the bullhorn after the games and getting involved in the sing-alongs. Give us a little bit of a reflection of your, when you first came to Australia, did it meet your expectations? Did you have any expectations? And then how did this sort of relationship with the fans come about?
Yeah, look, I was well aware where I'm coming, to which club, that this is the best club in the A-League, with the biggest supporters, the best supporters. And from the day one, they like accepted me with the open hands. And I'm like that. I'm chatty. I like to joke. My teammates, they call me even funny. I don't know if it's that true, but but most of all, I will do my 100%. I will work every day to be a better teammate, to be a better goalkeeper, to be a better person. And I don't know, probably that's why they embraced me. And yeah, with Bullhorn, it wasn't me that I was looking for it. They called my name. I didn't even figure it out. But then my good old Lee Broxham, he said, "Hey, they're calling for you." So I went over there. Yeah. They gave me the bullhorn, and then they explained me what I need to do. And it's a tradition since then.
Oh.
Now,
sorry, Tonch, are you that sort of supporter as well? When you watch football, are you parochial, spirited, passionate, or do you watch with a bit of intensity?
I'm everything. Like I try to see things, but when my team is playing, I'm just one of the supporters, and
that's important.
Yeah,
good.
Pretty intense.
Now, Ivan, as we mentioned at Melbourne Victory, there's a very strong Croatian flavour there. You've got Johnny Didulica, the football manager. You've got the coach, Tony Popovic. Then you've got the players, left, right and centre. We saw Luka Pršo joined up recently. We also had, we've got Matthew Spiranovic from Geelong, young Anthony Leban as well.
Yeah.
Even though some of the commentators in the FFA Cup made it sound like he was French, Leban. But
Liban.
Yeah. Now, is it true? Am I told that Jay Barnett, his mum is Croatian as well?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
So for those of you that didn't know, so now how with so many Croatians all of a sudden, what's the dressing room banter like? After a game when you win, do you have Lijepa Lisi or Volim Piti or something like that in the dressing rooms?
Still not, but we will overtake. So we have like our certain playlist, but banter in dressing room, it's good. Like it's really good with all the like Croatian blokes and with the boss, with JD. But also the rest of the guys, they are following us every morning when I come. Obviously, I come first always every morning. But when the guys start to showing up, Disi brate, what's up, brother? How you doing? Kako si? Good, dobro.
Great.
So yeah, they picked up a bit of Croatian things.
Now, we're going to have a member of the Golden Generation joining us a little bit later on, Scott McDonald, who is now the coach of the Gold Coast Knights. Now, we're going to have to ask him, Josip, I don't know if this is true. I'm here. It's a legendary story that when Australia qualified for the 2006 World Cup by beating Uruguay, there is a rumor that Željko Kalac was leading the singing in the dressing room afterwards and had all the players, including the non-Croatian players, remember there was about 6 players of Croatian extraction, all singing Volim Piti in the Socceroo's dressing room. We're going to have to ask Scott McDonald.
We'll
so he'll be coming on.
On that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
Now, speaking of Željko Kalac, he is now coaching NK Urania in Baška Voda, which is a 3rd division side in Croatia. Ivan, there's a lot of Australian Croatians now starting to move to Croatian play, either in the 1st division, 2nd or 3rd division. You have made that switch from Croatia to Australia. You can see the two, you can compare the two styles and the two environments. Can you see a lot more young Croatian Australians or Australian Croatians making that move? And is it a good thing for both Croatian football and Australian football?
Yeah, of course, it's a good move for both parties.
Of course it is.
Yeah, because you have like here in Australia there is a lot of talented football players, but what I think they miss the most is that like European mentality of competition, like everything is hard earned, not given. You know, you need to fight for every opportunity. Football there is a way of living, like your way to succeed, to crawl out of the swamp, and when they pick up that mentality, it will become so much easier for them, because everybody idolizes maybe Europe, but it's also not so beautiful, pinky, and nice weather, or how could I say it? But like it will surely help them improve their mentality. Yeah, mentality, because where I see the biggest difference is that mentality. Because here, like in Victory, we have very talented young players. We have great facilities, and like in some like lower divisions in Croatia, you don't have that. So you need to work hard. You need to overcome some things, and but you need to look at like one obstacle on your way. That's how we all did it, and that's how we made something out of the career.
Now, you did mention that it's a way of living. It's for a lot of young players. It's a way out of poverty. It's a way to secure not only your future, but that of your family, your immediate family, maybe the whole cell, or maybe the whole village.
Yeah.
Is there a difference between kids that are born in, say, urban areas like, say, Zagreb, Split, Rijeka, Osijek, or those kids that come from villages or from really rural areas? Like that determination, that desire to succeed. Have you found any difference in the mentality of those kids coming to the big smoke and trying to secure a future?
There is always some maybe examples, but I couldn't say like I was born and I was living 10 minutes from center of the Zagreb. So basically, I was in a good area. But still, for me, football was everything. You know how we say like God, family, football, and this is how we like. I don't know how to explain it. It's just way of living. You want to like sacrifice everything for the success of career, because how you say like for a lot of people it's a way out of the poverty, or like trying to improve, and it's like also it's the best job in the world, being a professional football player. Like you need to work, but you don't work from 8 to 4. So you have your part of the day, you work hard, but then after you go home. Like what football brought to me, I travel all around the Europe, I travel all around the world, met so many beautiful people, amazing people, and like established some friendships that are still holding, and everything because of the football. So yeah, football, I think there is in Europe, it's more like a religion.
Ivane, you've now well entrenched into the fabric of Melbourne Victory. What sort of contract terms have you got on? Are you staying in for a couple of years? And how are you seeing that at the moment? Do you feel like you're going to be hanging around for a little while for the fans to enjoy your company?
Yeah, I signed a 2-year contract. So, yeah, this is my first 6 months here. The only thing I'm missing is my family, obviously, but, kids are going to school. Wife is having her business there. So, we made it. I came mostly because of the boss wanted me. And it was a amazing opportunity for me in my stage of career to play still, because I didn't underestimate A-League, never, because people have a wrong opinion on A-League. But we train with Tony, we train like I never trained before. It's so professional. He, for me, is the best coach. I could say best coach ever that was coaching me, and I enjoy every day being with him and listening to him, because you learn every day. If you don't want to learn every day, you cannot improve. And with him, every day is about learning something new, improve you as a person, improve you as a player, and that's what it's about.
Yeah. Now, you do talk about Tony Popovic. We also mentioned Željko Kalac, and you've got very good experience with both of these in Greece at Xanthi before you came here. It was only a short stint, but you had enough of a chance to, I guess, taste that Greek football. Overnight, we find another Croatian coach, Zoran Vulic, ex-Hajduk legend, has now taken the reins of Xanthi. What can he expect there? I mean, it's Greek football, from all accounts, is a very passionate cauldron of football, and the fans. Xanthi are in the second division. What was your experience like of football in Greece?
First month and a half, while I was with the Spider, with Željko and with Boss, it was unbelievable. We had good results. We started to establish our way of football, and then something happened. Nobody still knows why. The boss got sacked, and after that everything went down. And Greek football, especially second division, it's very difficult, very complicated. You are not playing just against 11 players on the pitch. You are playing against in between your team, in between other team, in between referees, in between. Let's just say that it's not 11v11.
Yeah. There's a lot there. There.
So it's very complicated, and especially now, second division, because I still have some friends there. We speak, we chat. They split the second division into 2 divisions, so this year it will be even harder. Only first team goes to the qualifiers against other team, and then it's a mess. It's a mess. I hope Zoran will do good, but of course, for European people, it's easier to, especially with our mentality, it's easier to adjust on those things, when everything is not clean. But he has a lot of experience as a coach. He's a great coach. He never coached me, but I heard a lot of good things about him, and I wish him nothing but success.
Ivan, it was an absolute pleasure having you, and we could talk, I reckon, for another hour easily. There's so much to talk about, but we really enjoyed having you on, and I'm sure all the viewers and fans did as well. And we'll have to definitely get you back on the show. In the meantime, all the very best for the upcoming FFA Cup final this weekend against Central Coast. That's down in Melbourne, and wishing you all the very best. And like I said, we'd love to have you on the show again sometime in the future.
Thank you, lads. It was an absolute blaster being with you. And whenever you want to have a little chat, and so I can enjoy your company, then I'm all about it. No problems. No problems for me.
All right. No worries then.
Have a good one. Laku noć. Ciao. Bye.
That was IVAN KELAVA from Melbourne Victory, and geez, he's a very entertaining person, mate. You can definitely see why he's a fan favourite. Isn't that right?
Yeah, hasn't he? Yeah.
Oh yeah. 100%. All right, we're going to not even have a break. We're going to go straight on to our next guest because we have we're told he has to pretty much get out of the studio.
Scotty's got him doing laps, mate.
He's got him doing laps, is it? Well, so we're going to bring on the one of the main players. Oh, he's got a red top on. Look at that. Works out really well as well. One of the key players in the Gold Coast Knights senior team lineup, and that's Mitch Nichols. Oh, look very close there to Josip. A little bit of love. You'll probably be able to feel his sweat.
This is my new home club, Tonch. You know, you've got to embrace everybody here.
He didn't shower before it, though.
Oh, could have told me.
That's all right. We can see you, but we can't smell you. There we go. We can see you both there. Mitch, thank you very much for joining us. Mate, Scott McDONALD, the coach, the gaffer, during the week, he did a fantastic promo, and he also started speaking a little bit of Croatian. Mate, you've been there a couple of seasons now. Have President Adrian Puljic, have they been trying to teach you... apart from the swear words, of course, because they're all the first words.
That's all I know is the swear words. So I won't.
That's all you need to know. Yeah. How have you found your? Because this will be your third season at the Knights? Is that right?
Yeah, third season.
Third season. Yeah. I was going to say how have you found the transition from an A-League setup, because you have played A-League quite a fair bit, to the NPL setup? And life on the Gold Coast.
Yeah, obviously Gold Coast is home for me, so that was good to come back home after 10 years. But the club's been very good. And, obviously, with the club's got ambitions to progress past NPL, so it's been good. And with Scotty coming on board, and obviously Adrian and the way things are in that FFA Cup run, it shows what we're about, and we don't want to settle for NPL, and I think we can progress further than that. And the club is right behind us, and we've got a good bunch of players this year. We recruited really well, so it's a big year for us. And obviously last year wasn't the greatest, and something we want to make amends.
Yeah, I saw the practice game on Saturday afternoon.
That was hot,
wasn't it? Yeah, it was a stinker. And I thought the first half fantastic, pulling the strings through the midfield. But I felt like there was that when that heat wave came in, it wasn't just yourselves, but it was like Newcastle Olympic as well, that it really stifled everybody. It became a bit of a mess. But one thing I did notice is that engine in the middle kept going.
Yeah.
So your conditioning, have you done anything different to prepare now that can we say towards the latter years of your career?
No, I'm young. I'm only 31, 32. No, I've always looked after myself.
Yeah.
I've been pretty lucky. I think that's the hard work I've done. I've not really had many injuries.
Yeah,
good. Scotty's flogged us. So, that started last year, that FFA Cup game. That was obviously big for the club, and it was big for us. Like, disappointing we didn't win.
Yeah.
We put a good shift in, but, that's rolled in from there, and all the boys come back in good condition. And, it's, 4 weeks now that the season started to start. So, we're putting the hard yards in, and we want to win it all. We want to go as far as we can in the FFA Cup, and that starts now. So, we've been doing as much as we can.
Speaking of the FFA Cup match, who's the guy you paid in the grandstand? Your super fan. There was
I worked
for the people that couldn't hear it on the TV screens. There was a super fan in the stands that he just kept calling out for Mitchy all game long.
I actually worked with him, and he's a mate of mine, and he's.
There's a bit of footage from the day's events there, kindly shared to us by our media manager here, Mark McDONALD.
Yeah, he's an absolute pest, and for 90, I think longer than 90 minutes, that's all you could hear.
I think he was still going when we all went home.
Yeah, I know. He didn't turn up to work the next day either.
now talking about
we won't let it go.
Yeah, now talking about the FFA Cup night, Mitch, it was a huge night for not just for the club, not for the Gold Coast Knights, but for the whole city. Massive crowd, great atmosphere, and you guys really held your own. Okay, yes, it was a younger Melbourne Victory side, but nonetheless, it's still an A-League side. Was it? How hard was it to sort of separate the emotions of the excitement and being on the centre stage to really cool heads, playing the way you sticking to your game plan and that kind of stuff? Scotty did really well, keeping you guys sort of on on plan, did he? Or how did you guys, particularly you guys who have got A-League experience, how did you guys go about, stifling sort of the emotions?
Oh, I think maybe for me, like, it's another game for me, but for the club, it was a massive thing, and some of the young boys, it was probably the biggest game they've played in. But I think once the whistle goes, it's just another game, and we put our best foot forward. It was no excuses, but we only had 3-4 weeks of training and new team and new coach, and we're out of season, so we had all excuses, but we didn't make any. We stuck in there and went to extra time. Like, the boys were out on their legs. Scotty somehow came on the field, which is, probably where we lost the game, but we won't tell him that.
Yeah, we won't put it on him now.
Yeah, we'll put it on him. But no, it was good, and I think it shows where, like, the young boys, if they want to go to that level, it's what it takes. That they can hold their own, but they've also got to put the extra work in.
Stuff.
Josipet.
Yeah, so heading into the season, and there's some more practice matches coming up. Who you got this week?
We play Redlands tomorrow night, and then we have a couple of games next week against Penn Power and Lions. So, it's a good couple of tests before the season starts and see where we're at.
Yeah, a bit of the pre-season championship. I know my young lad's in your squad, in the under-16s, young Ben, and he's good at the banter himself. He said to say good idea tonight.
Yeah, he nutmegged me up today.
Yeah, he's pretty proud of that.
I know.
But
I mean, you're young.
Preparation coming up this way, mate. A lot of matches thick and fast before the season on Feb 25th.
Yeah, 26th. Yeah.
Now, mate, Mitch, you are a young fella. You're only 31, but you have played. Yeah, you have played at quite a few of the A-League game clubs: Brisbane Roar, Melbourne Victory, on loan to Perth Glory, Wanderers, Perth. Wellington.
You can stop there.
Yeah. What was some of your most memorable moments? Not necessarily from every club, but we might be there till midnight. But but what were some of the memorable moments of your A-League career?
Probably at Brisbane, obviously winning back-to-back championships. I was part of that record-breaking team, and playing under Ange, and probably playing at Melbourne Victory in Western Sydney. Their fan base, I don't know what it's like at the moment, but when I was playing there, it was sold out crowds every week and derbies, and it was probably the peak of the A-League with the fan base and maybe the quality of the players. We had some really good foreigners at the time, and it was every game was exciting, and it was on Foxtel. I think you could watch it. I don't know how to watch it at the moment. Yeah, it's a bit hard. And obviously, probably getting to play for Socceroos and getting to go to Japan. That was a few highlights.
Yeah, and when you see the youngsters that you coach now, and you think about your journey to get yourself to where that all occurred and where you are today, there's some like real one or two lessons or one or two things that people have told you along the way that they stick in your head, like little sort of words of wisdom or little specific bits of guidance that people have given you over the way that you can now share with the youngsters on the training track?
I think just hard work. And, we were just talking about it before, like setbacks. I was never picked in rep sides or, school sides and that when I was younger. I had a lot of setbacks, but I just worked hard and just enjoyed my football. Just got on with it, and I love playing. And, like, you're going to have setbacks, and don't get disappointed, and just put your head down and because you love the game and train hard and work at it, and you'll get there. Like, there's a lot of boys now that I played with, they're in the Socceroos, and, they probably didn't have careers till I was 23, 24. So I think that's a big thing for young kids, is not to, just enjoy it, but keep working hard, because it is a tough slog. Yeah.
Can't get away from hard work. Now, Mitch, we speaking to our previous guest, IVAN KELAVA down at Melbourne Victory. Now, he said, which is a big call, he said Tony Popper was the best coach that he's ever played under. Now, I don't know if he was just sucking up to the boss or he was actually being serious. Yeah, but you've played under a lot of coaches, and you did mention Ange Postecoglou, and a lot of people rate him highly. I guess a lot of the Melbourne Knights fans don't really like him because he used to be a South Melbourne player, and he used to absolutely rip us. But all jokes aside, brilliant coach. Was he the best coach you played under, or were there other coaches as well that come to mind that had a massive influence on your career?
Yeah, I think Ange, obviously, just his attacking style of football and how demanding he is with it. But I had Popper in the other end. When I was at Western Sydney, he had just how demanding he is with you professionalism, like tactics, not letting the training session go. So they're very similar but different in their styles. Obviously, it shows in their football, but when it comes down to it, like how demanding they are from you every single day, and like that's a lot of players can get tired of it, but it does bring out the best of you. Like you see what everyone talks about, Ange and Popper, what like everyone enjoys it. Even I think people that aren't playing, they can see what they want from you, and they bring out the best of them. Like what Ange is doing at Celtic, like how much people knocked him about going there, like especially over there, didn't know about him, and he's they're pushing first over there, and Popper's doing his thing at Victory again.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. Any last questions, Josip, before we bid Mitch
farewell? Otherwise, he's going to get himself in trouble. So we'll let him go and wish him well for the weekend's games coming up and the rest of the pre-season, because we're really looking forward to knocking down Logan. Eh?
Yeah, good start to the year. Thanks, guys.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, Mitch. That's Mitch Nichols, senior men's team player, and as he comes off off for a break, coming off the interchange bench to be replaced by the gaffer himself. A member of the Socceroo Legends, and we're going to have very, very shortly joining us, Mr. Is he there? Is he there?
Here he is. Mr. Scott McDonaldovich.
Good evening.
Scott McDonaldovich. Scott, good evening. And now, Scott, you are. How are you, Scott? This is the first time that you're on the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It is episode 3 after all, but you have been on our sister show, the Football Out West show. We had you on last year with Craig Filer, Steve Curtin, and myself. So you have been well versed with speaking to our audience, mate. First of all, thank you very much for joining us. We've just spoken to Mitch and talked about the FA Cup and how big of a night that was. You pulled on the boots. How'd you pull up afterwards?
I pulled up fine. Look, I didn't do much training before it. The plan really wasn't for me to appear or to play in the game, but with the short space of time that we had to prepare for the game, we had 3 weeks. A lot of that was rained out as well, so we couldn't actually get on the grass. A lot of things were done, we were even running on concrete pavements to get the boys going because they had 4 to 5 week breaks. So a lot of tactical work was done off the pitch, but really proud of the performance and the players. And it really was a great starting point for us as a whole, with me taking over at the football club. And I'm just thoroughly enjoying things. And yes, I did put the boots on and really enjoyed it. But I'm happy to say that I'm now officially retired. You can always say I played for the Knights, though, which is great. But now it's just concentrating on
the Wikipedia page.
Exactly. Put it in there. On appearance. Yeah, it would have been nice for 1-on-1, but just couldn't quite get on the score sheet on the night. But now it's time to focus on the next part of my footballing career, and I've been loving it. The club have been fantastic. We've got a fantastic squad for this season coming along. Adrian and the whole board and football club have been hugely supportive, and everyone's really excited to get going for this season.
Good stuff, Scott. Now, speaking of joining the Gold Coast Knights, so you an illustrious football career that spanned across the majority of the time spent in UK. When a conversation piece comes up to start the coaching badges and getting yourself into your first gig, how does something like this formulate? Is it something that you've put feelers out, or did someone come knocking on your door?
Look, I think the association, me being a part of this football club through my son, playing for this club since we arrived on the Gold Coast, almost 2 years, building up relationships with people within the football club, knowing that I was coming to the end, and knowing our CEO Adam Porrick, who I became friends with over the piece as well, knew that I'd accredited badges, that I was working towards it, trying to do stuff with the Raw Academy as well, and was passionate about taking the next steps in my footballing career. With that, I had the pleasure of meeting Adrian for the first time to discuss things, and thankfully he chose me to be the head coach of this proud and historic football club, and we're looking to do some really good things here and just improve the football club all around. That's my remit. I want to make things as best as we possibly can, improve things here always, and never stand still and make it as professional as possible.
Oh, well, kudos to the club for making that step towards those milestones that you feel like the club can achieve. And over to you, Tonch.
Yeah, and look, Scott, you've had a very illustrious playing career that started in the old National Soccer League and moved overseas to the UK, played games at Middlesbrough, Motherwell,
you can see those
Celtic.
grays in you now coming through.
Yeah.
Kids don't tell, can take some comments, mate. Like, it's Southeast Corridor 101.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've had a really illustrious career, spanning, 20-odd years or something like that. Along the way, we talked about both with Mitch and IVAN KELAVA earlier, the importance of coaches and some of the influences across those ways. Now that you're a coach yourself, when you look back at all those clubs you've played at, who are some of the coaches that have had a real profound effect on you, both as a player, but now as a coach?
Oh, look, I think you'll always go off coaches you've had success with as personally as a football player, and I had the good, the bad, and the ugly with Gordon Strachan. Being at 3 different football clubs. One being released by him, second one him re-signing me and winning titles and trophies, and the third culminating to him getting sacked. So a wonderful time with him. And if you had to say who was the biggest influence, definitely Gordon, and his values and principles mostly. About what he likes about the human being and the traits of what he believes to be a successful footballer. And that's, mentality and commitment. And a lot of it's built on trust, like anything we do in the world. When you have success, I think it's built a lot, with the trust within the environment that you're building. And certainly that's had a big effect on me throughout my football club. And that's something that we are trying to attain at this football club right now.
I watched the Leeds Where We Belong docu-series, and Gordon Strachan features a fair bit in those, pre-1990 days, and leading into the changes that they were going through. Mm-hmm. One thing that really resonates out with those messages and the way he talks is about how strong and resolute, and you can see he's a strong-minded person. Do you find that you sort of extract a little bit of that as a player under those sorts of coaches, and you start to then you look in the mirror and you go, I'm speaking like him now?
Yeah, well, absolutely. And I think any successful coaches, managers, leaders embody what their team has to be, or wants to be. And players pick up on that. And the ones that want to go the journey with them will start to embody what that coach is. And certainly throughout my time there, particularly at Celtic, because you're at a football club where the expectations are very, very high and demands are, huge, as we'll see tomorrow morning, which I'll be getting up 5:45. Yeah, I have to mention, Big Ange in charge of Celtic, but you go the extra mile, and the demands that they put on you. But with that, the manager almost can take a step back then, and the leadership and the ownership that the players take, which we had at Celtic, was phenomenal. And there was 11 leaders out in the park, and there was 20 players that were all leaders and expected certain things. Sometimes they probably got overheated, but sometimes that was needed to bring the success, because we all wanted the same thing. That was the most important thing, that everyone wanted the same thing, the same goal. The page was exactly the same.
If we take that...
you got some very...
Sorry, mate.
Just
a little bit more on that. If you take those key words you're talking about, that sort of setting expectations and leadership, and you look at the squad that you're working with at the minute, how do you feel like you can transpond that sort of that messaging out to the lads you're working with at the minute?
Look, it's going well. That's what I will say about it. And the boys are responding excellently. From the moment I took over at the football club, the buy-in from everyone, not just players, but the whole club, like I said, it's been wonderful. And we need to continue in that vein and that process. And everything is a process. There's a start and an end. Mm-hmm. It's all about what happens in the middle of that, and we're going through very beginnings of that at the moment, and it's step by step. But I'm very, very pleased with the work that we've put in thus far as a team, and we'll be looking to keep building. And look, once the real games come, the confidence is built by obviously doing the right things within the process, but winning football matches too.
Yeah.
Awesome, Scott. We're gonna probably leave it there. We've got the big boss, the president, due to come in very, very shortly, mate. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Thank you very much for that promo as well. Much appreciated.
No problem.
And I think tonight we've had millions, not thousands, of viewers tuning in simply because of that. So we wish you all the best for the season ahead. and look forward to, at the tail end of the season, Gold Coast Knights once again being in the FFA Cup. And we'll look forward to going even 1 or 2 steps better this time round. So it's actually going to be called, is it the Australia Cup or something like that as of now?
I believe so. Well, thank you very much for having me. Idemo zajedno.
Idemo zajedno. Well done. That was Scott McDONALD. Now we'll be joined very, very shortly by the president himself, ADRIAN PULJICH. Don't go away. You're tuning into the Oz Cro Soccer Show. A couple of words now from our sponsors. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It is episode 5, and we are joined in by a man who's not only given a lot to the Gold Coast Knights, but also has been a past member of the Croatian Soccer Association of Australia, ADRIAN PULJICH. ADRIAN, welcome to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. How are you?
Thanks, boys. Thanks very much, Taunchy. Good, mate. Really proud to be on the show. Thank you for having me again.
Absolute pleasure, mate. We've heard from Scotty McDONALD, who apparently is changing his name by deed poll to something a bit more Croatian. We've heard from
Scott McDonaldovic and MITCH NICHOLS.
There you go. And
Mitch is affectionately known as Micho around the club. So he's given a few years here, and he's as good on the soccer field as he is out with a shovel. So it's good.
Yeah, mate. We've heard about the on-field development and the success, particularly in recent times, and the future aspirations on the field. Off the field, mate. Gold Coast Knights are becoming a big club. Not just, I guess, Australia-wide, but it's now becoming one of the biggest Croatian soccer clubs in Australia as well, and indeed the world. And you've been responsible for that, along with some of your predecessors, Damien Brešić, Mario Vlahović, in recent times. But let's talk about the early days. Give us a little bit of a history rundown of the Gold Coast Knights.
So the Gold Coast Knights, founded back in 1979, it was literally the catalyst that started this Croatian community. So back in the day, as people moved up from Melbourne and Sydney to start new lives up here and obviously grow the development scene on the Gold Coast, in Brisbane, Croatians started to gather on the Gold Coast and decide that they would set up a football club and play out of Musgrave Soccer Club, which is just up the road from us. And the whole premise of that soccer team was to unite us and bring in folklore and other groups at the time. And obviously when the war was raging, football was a great outlet for us as a community to get together and share our pride and love for our country, and also display who we are as Croatians. You know, during the war, you know, our image and how we were being painted by various politicians and other political forces, it was very difficult for people to accept us. And football was a great avenue, and our hospitality and our cultural endeavours really put us in good stead. So football is even more so relevant today because Gold Coast still remains to be a small community. And for us to maintain our relevance, particularly here in the Sunshine State when there is so much to do, you know, there's a lot of activity. There are a lot of sports that people can play. You know, it's not just football up here. You know, there's surfing and cricket's massive. AFL's taking off.
Golf down the road.
Down the road. And it's important for us to remain relevant, not only for our football as a sport, but for our Croatian community as well.
Josip?
Yep. So in the terms of the development of the club, it's definitely come along in leaps and bounds. I remember in the sort of late 80s, there were blokes coming up from Melbourne, moving up for work, or some guys not for work. And but they did find themselves congregating around Gold Coast Knights, who were playing in the local league back then. And then that started to eventuate. We noticed probably in the last maybe 10 or so years a distinct change in the approach. Was there a sort of like a line in the sand or line in the concrete done to say, that's it, we're now going to be doing things in such a fashion that we want to see progressing? And, you know, what was the impetus behind that?
Yeah, look, in 2012 was a Croatian soccer tournament here. Many say that it was, I guess, the reignition that the tournaments needed. And since 2012, not taking away tournaments before that, but since 2012, everyone has sought to improve and make those events better and what have you. And here on the Gold Coast, for us, you know, we sort of had a bit of a look at ourselves and said, right, we don't have the Croatian base like what Sydney and Melbourne and Adelaide do, yet we are still a very active, small, tight-knit community. So how can we remain relevant and still be proud about who we are and what we stand for? And football was that avenue. You know, you look at what football does and what it did for our community, and for the Gold Coast, it brought us together, and today it's what still binds us.
Awesome. I remember you cutting through in committee meetings in the Savez when I was on the Savez years ago, and you're a young, fresh-faced gentleman. Not that you're not fresh-faced now. Yeah, you were younger. I'll give you that.
We all?
Yeah, we all were. I didn't have these things in the air. But I distinctly remember you in the room, and the reason I remember you entering the room, I think, was it New Zealand?
It was, yeah.
I think it was your first AGM. And the reason I remembered you is because when you look across the room, there were a bunch of grey-feathered blokes around, and not too many of the younger variety. Now, speaking of that, in your time on the Savez, how much change did you notice? Because I started to see a little bit of change by the time I exited the door. In your time, how much change did you see, and what specifically stood out?
Yeah, look, I have to say the work of the Savez, you know, led by Jure Dragovic and you know, you've got Stephen and Tommy. And you know, you've had people come and go over the years in that committee that have really loved unconditionally all of our clubs equally, whether you're Melbourne Knights all the way down to the lower clubs like us, or whether it be Rockley, you were always treated with respect. You know, there was no favoritism. If you're a social club all the way through to the NPL, the Savez was and still remains to be our organisation, which binds us as a community.
Yeah.
And I guess the governance and the work ethic and I guess the lobbying done by the Savez behind the scenes and the assistance offered to our clubs was a really eye opener for me, and why I stayed there for so long, and I was in awe. You know, it's a robust group. There are a lot of difficult decisions that needed to be made in the interests of clubs, and they were made, and thankfully they've turned out to be the right decisions. And I think it's important, and I do believe the clubs acknowledge it. And you just look at the last AGM that just happened with the Savez. Clubs recognise the difficulties of host clubs and some of the decisions that the Savez need to make. So, you know, we need to get behind King Tom. We need to get down there. We need to support them and get together. We missed it for a couple of years. And, you know, we've missed a lot of faces, you know, a lot of colourful characters from around our clubs. You know, that's who we are, and that's where we belong.
Now, Adrian, all three of us, in fact, have at one time or another been a member of the Savez, and the importance of not just being involved in your own club, but being involved in whether it be governing bodies or other associations outside of the club to make your club bigger is really important. But the previous Gold Coast Knights president, Damien Brešić, who we all know and love, and is very well respected, not just within the Croatian community, but the wider community. He's a classic example of someone who's, you know, no doubt still involved with the Gold Coast Knights, but he's now become general manager of Football Gold Coast or Football South Queensland or whatever it's called now. We don't have enough. It seems to me all around the country, we just don't have enough of our people involved in either its state federations, national federations, regional federations. It's like we're very passionate when it comes to our club, but we're not. We don't really care about getting involved in other associations. And how can we change that? How can we show some of our people that it is important to get our people in some of those decision-making bodies?
Look, that's a really good question. Like, firstly, on the Damien matter. Like Damien's a life member of this club, and he's also a life member of the Savez in the Hall of Fame, and rightly so. You know, he took this club for a period of 19 years through some very, very difficult times, financially and also progressively as a community. It was very difficult, a lot of name changes, ethnicity, all those issues that every Croatian club has to deal with, he dealt with. So he's been a fantastic role model as an administrator within this club, and has obviously been recognised during his time at Football Gold Coast and now subsequently with Football Queensland. So in the merger, so Football Queensland's done a bit of a reshuffle. I think we probably are much more aligned in terms of our football structure to Football Victoria. And with that, so has the administration. The administration's fallen that way. And now Damien is pretty much, for your viewers, is in charge of Brisbane, Gold Coast, and Southwest Queensland, you know, taking in Toowoomba and the Sunshine Coast too as well. So that is a significant catchment. I think that represents in excess of 60,000 registered footballers that fall under Damien's remit. But in terms of trying to get more people like Damien involved in our more, I guess, recognised structures within that football pyramid, I don't know what the answer is. I don't think there is a solution so much. You know, I think how we can involve ourselves is pretty much what we're doing today, and that's trying to be better every day. You know, the Gold Coast Knights, we are a minnow. We're not meant to be as good as we are. We're not meant to have Scott McDONALD here. You know, we're not meant to be that club. And as long as we can continue to buck those dispersions and make ourselves better every day, and represent our community and show what it is to be Croatian. And, you know, at the end of the day, we don't have Croatian players. We've got a few players coming through, but we don't have Croatian players right now in our starting 11, and we don't apologise for that. We are a proud Croatian ethnic club, and our players and our coaching staff and administrators buy into who we are, and our fans recognise that. And unfortunately, we don't have the base that other teams do. And, you know, I think last year we had a 19-year-old Croatian coming through the ranks. That's Mario Jagodic, quite promising player. Josip Milicevic signed from us from the Brisbane Roar Academy. And there are a couple other boys that we missed out on that didn't choose the Gold Coast Knights as their next port of call. So I think as administrators within our own clubs, that's how we can impact what's going on in our state associations and beyond.
I can tell you there, Tonchi, a key thing that Adrian touched on there in regards to the administrators and everybody else buying into the ethos of the club. Jodie Dickens is a prime example of that. She's been around probably about 8-9 years now.
Yeah, she has. I think coming up to six
She's
years.
sort of general manager operations, and on Saturday I introduced myself to her, and she was, you know, speaking about the club and thinks, you know, making references to the Savez and the staff around the place. You can see that she was well entrenched into the club, its community, and its culture. So, well done to Gold Coast Knights for when they embrace someone into the club, they bring them into that family environment and make them feel a part of the fabric of what we are here.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of clubs have got people like that, haven't we? We had someone from North Geelong, Josip, that you know very well, reach out to us, David Anderson, who's been involved in all sorts of Croatian clubs, and his son, Mickey Anderson, he'd been a senior player for 11 years, and he's stayed on now to be involved with the women's side down at North Geelong. So a lot of clubs have that. It's great to see, and that's part of that.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. An All-Australian from Glenorchy.
Yep.
Absolutely, and it's that embracing nature that we've had. That for so many years, people used to think Croatian clubs, they're just closed off to the mainstream. When in reality, we've always been there, ready to embrace everyone. And just looking at a lot of the people who are commenting tonight, though they certainly haven't got Croatian surnames, and unless they're like Jay Barnett, who's got a Croatian mum, it's great to see. And we are very all-embracing, all-encompassing.
Yeah. And look, as long as we can contribute, you know, and play our part within the Savez and within the Croatian football structure, you know, we want to continue. Like I said, the Croatian community on the Gold Coast has to fight for relevance. It's simple as that. We have an exceptional venue here. People have come, our Croatian communities have been here. They know what we're up against. These facilities are very costly to maintain and upkeep. there are only so many Sveta Karta Zabavas that you can run to pay your rates and other bills and water charges. And at the end of the day, for us to fight for our survival and maintain our relevance, football is an avenue to do that. And our door is open to everyone.
Yeah. Adrian, before we start wrapping up for tonight's show, I look at the wall behind us with the trophies and the representation about the success that comes at this club. There'd be a multitude of people that are involved in that, and as well as sponsors and people that, would you like to sort of just call out to the brigade out there in the Knights Army and just a word of thanks and recognition for some?
Yeah, look, I think all of our sponsors, I'm not going to individually name them. They know who they are. They're very unassuming. We have a lot of people that donate money that are not Croatian, that are proud of this club, that followed us to Cairns. We had non-Croatian sponsors follow us up to Cairns and line up their holidays. But more importantly, the people that I want to thank are the supporters of the Gold Coast Knights. I'd like to thank our Savez member clubs as well for promoting the FFA Cup and for promoting us, and making us relevant within their communities. And we look forward to reciprocating it. And obviously Newcastle, Croatia will be our first sister club competing for the round of 32.
Yeah, we look forward to that. It's a great story, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. An amazing story and one we need to support.
Well, we are excited to announce that Newcastle, Croatia will be featured in one of our upcoming episodes. But in the meantime, Adrian, mate, we could talk all night, and hopefully there will be an opportunity to do that. We thank you sincerely for coming on and really making our episode 3 such a rich tapestry of football identities that are all blended in by the various Croatian clubs. And tonight it was all about the Gold Coast Knights. So, mate, wishing you all the very best in season 2022.
Thank you, boys, and thank you very much. And loving the shows. And Joey Shimonich's episode last week was an absolute cracker. So well done.
Yeah, it was
amazing.
A perler, and he had some really, really good words of advice, as did IVAN KELAVA earlier tonight, Scotty McDONALD earlier as well, and indeed Mitch Nichols, and yours truly. In your case, you've had some great words of wisdom for all of our various administrators at the various Croatian clubs around Australia. So thanks, mate.
Cheers, guys. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Okay. Adrian Puljic joining us on the Oz Cro Soccer Show. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we do return, we're just going to wind it up. And indeed, we are going to then also have a quick look at the at the Croatian football scene. A lot happening over there. Sport requires effort, sweat and strong will, and Macron knows it. A leading global company with the Italian DNA in the production and sale of sportswear. When Macron first entered the sports world in 1971, he was a small yet strong player. Since then, Macron has been growing at a very fast pace, supporting teams, sportsmen and women at all levels, working hard to supply them with the best technical products to help improve their performances. With over 4 million pieces of stock available in our Italian warehouse, including an extensive range of on-field, off-field and free-time products, we cater for everyone from amateurs to professional sporting organisations. Ranked third most prominent football brand by UEFA, Macron keeps expanding its presence worldwide and now even includes Croatian giants Hajduk Split, HNL Prva Liga outfit MK Šibenik, as well as Melbourne-based Croatian community club NK Bunker, amongst its ever-growing international family, and there are more to come. Work hard, play harder, Macron, your next teamwear partner. For more information, visit our website at www.macronvic.com.au or call us now on 1-800-MACRON. Welcome back to the Oz Cro Soccer Show. It's episode 3. We're going to whiz through the last bit. We're going to look at the Croatian scene. And speaking of Macron, Josipe, during the week, apparently, Hrvatski Dragovoljac, who are struggling at the moment, they are at the foot of the First Division ladder. Apparently, Macron is now the kit sponsor for them. So we've got NK Šibenik, Hajduk Split, and Hrvatski Dragovoljac. Not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because Hrvatski Dragovoljac had one of the most splendid kits, I think. We haven't got a photo, but geez, they had a nice little
Macron have got big shoes to fill, because that kit great.
And I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. But let's quickly turn our attention. We're going to whiz through this. Look at the results of last week's round. Go through them very quickly.
You know what I'm really disappointed about these results is that I was right about Slaven Belupo being the thorn in the side. I know I was spewing. I said it, but I've jinxed them, and so that's really tightened things up at the top of the table there, hasn't it?
You did. So, Slaven Belupo came to Osijek, and they surprised the competition front runners to win 2-1. Prior to that, though, Istra, very important win at home against Gorica. I believe it's the first time since 2015 or something like that. A good win there for the Istrianci. The big one in Šibenik, the Dalmatian derby, Josip. Take us through that one.
I think Šibenik, correct me if I'm wrong, but got off to an early flyer. But and then courtesy of Levaya scoring a couple of penalties, they got themselves back in the game, and in the end ran away convincing winners. But it was definitely the Macron Cup, that one.
That was indeed the Macron Cup, and Filip Krovinovic scored a belter towards the end of the game to make it 3-1 for Šibenik. For Hajduk, Hajduk have been buoyed by the signing of from Benfica a player called Ferro. Now this guy, they're saying a year ago or something like that, or 2 years ago, he was being valued at about 100 million euros. And he's now picked Hajduk to get his career back on track. And one of the reasons why he chose Hajduk, Josipa, is in fact because of the fans. Now, Benfica and Hajduk do share a little bit of a kind of a sister club arrangement, so to speak, as far as the fans are concerned. But that was an interesting kind of an observation during. And look, the Heinel, Josip, is really becoming a good league. We saw during the week,
isn't it? It really is.
Yeah, I mean, Mislav Oršić has knocked back a €7 million transfer to EPL club Burnley because he wants to stay with Dinamo and wants to get Dinamo another Champions title this year. And he's extended his contract until, I think, 2026. So that, and then we mentioned Lukas Kačavenda. Now, 21-year-old, made captain of Lokomotiva. He didn't play on the weekend against Hrvatski Dragovoljac, but he'll be back. Lokomotiva defeating Dragovoljac 2-1, as we can see. But he's turned down a €7 million offer to Italian Serie A side Genoa, who are struggling, who are in the relegation zone, because he figures that if he stays there and they get relegated next year, the Serie B is not good for his development. Now, that is unbelievably wise words or wise direction for a young player, where in the past, some of these young players have just wanted to go for the money. But no, he can actually see that his development would be better in the Croatian league. So kudos to some of these players. And then Jan Mlakar, finally, for Hajduk Split, the Slovenian striker, he also has knocked back a €2 million euro. I keep saying $2 million, but €2 million offer to go to Pisa in the Italian Serie B competition, because Hajduk values him at $4 million. And for the first time in a long time, Hajduk aren't prepared to just sell any player willy-nilly. They're actually prepared to sell them only for their value. So that tells you, Josip, that the Croatian league is really growing in stature.
Very strong. And another, just extending on that Hajduk Split story about players transferring, young Mate Ivkovic, part of the under-17 setup in the national team. He's only 16 years of age, picked up by none other than Jose Mourinho, AS Roma, for $1 million Australian dollars. So at that age, to get that sort of contract and being under the radar of Jose Mourinho, you got to say that something's going well.
Yeah, absolutely. So there we can see the ladder. Dinamo have opened up a 3-point gap at the top. They've got a game in hand against Hajduk. The top four now have gone a little bit closer, with Osijek and Rijeka dropping points and Hajduk moving that step closer. So that big game, the game in hand between Hajduk and Dinamo at the Poljud Stadium in Split, is going to take on monumental proportions. At the other end of the table, Hrvatski Dragovoljac are edging closer and closer to relegation. These are the games coming up in round 22 this weekend. Josip, you want to take us through these games? Australian time, by the way.
look, Slaven Belupo might well continue their run and get another chalk up another victory and upset the apple cart for Šibenik. I think that would be there on the cards there. Hajduk should be able to make an easy win against Gorica. They're not in great shape at the moment. A tight affair we'd expect between Rijeka and Lokomotiva. Rijeka is still pushing in there for the European spots, and Lokomotiva just has that ability to really grind people or grind clubs down. So that'll be a real tight affair there. Hrvatski Dragovoljac, unfortunately, they'll probably continue their losing ways, but Osijek desperately need to fix it up. Last 3 rounds, I think they've collected 1 point, so they really need to step it up again. And I believe Dinamo will take the biscuits against Istra too.
Well, don't be so certain. I think Istra, in one of their games against Dinamo at the Maksimir, defeated Dinamo, and now at home they're going to be buoyed after their
they defeated them in the cup.
That's right, yeah. So they'll be buoyed, no doubt. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. A huge show, wasn't it? It was a massive show. Yeah, we did. We thank the Gold Coast Knights sincerely for their sponsorship of tonight's show. Next week, it's all about Zagreb, Hurstville. We go to the Harbour City. I cannot wait because there's some big things happening at Hurstville.
A lot of talent development Zagreb, Hurstville has been over the years, mate. And I'd look forward to the stories from Johnny Gergray.
Yeah, we could almost call them the locomotive of Australian Croatian football. So many players have come through Hurstville Zagreb. It is just incredible, and they continue. It's a great club. It really is. Yeah. I really look forward to that. So that should be absolutely fantastic.
Competitive people in there, mate. I've got stories to tell you from the Savez days, but I tell you, mate, they're hard at it. When we started doing the tier system in the Savez, that's when I joined. Yeah, mate, did we have to have a good conversation with Hurstville? they put us in our place, mate. They were strong. They were very resolute and well deserved so, because
awesome.
You've got to include the fact that they've done so well over the years.
Yeah, no, fantastic. If you haven't already, subscribe to our Oz Cro channel on YouTube, our exclusive Oz Cro channel, and also for those of you, I'd like to really make a big deal of this. Big shout out to where are we? Big shout out to our Vladimir Zetovic and Marko Maric, who are our members. We've only got 2 members. When we get to 5 members, there's a big surprise awaiting our members. I guarantee you. Only our members, and you can sign up as a member now. We've had so many people in the first 3 weeks say you're doing a great job in the comments section. We now need you guys to jump on board and really support us. www.patreon.com/Oz Cro Soccer Show for only as low as $25 a month. Not only will you be supporting us in a tangible way, but also, like I said, as soon as we hit 5 members, those members are going to be getting a very nice surprise, and they'll be really getting their
thank you very much.
Bang for their buck. So big shout out to those gentlemen who have been members initially, and that brings us to the end of the show. Josip, enjoy. Before we
pull the plug on tonight and let the batteries drain out of my laptop. Big mention has been sitting there quietly. Mark Majdanjic.
Yes.
He's the media manager and all things extraordinary here at Gold Coast Knights. Thank you very much, Mark. Appreciate all the hospitality and the support you've given us and letting me borrow this wonderful microphone here. It's a super duper one, I reckon. I feel like John Laws. Thank you very much to the club too for posting me up here in the fortress where all the trophies are. I feel privileged. God bless and luck and watch to everybody.